back into, you know, the ground and everything. And that's why we have Lovitz come out and clean them at least once a year. Hopefully, our hope is, or my hope is, to have the catch basins done twice a year and the dry wells done once a year. So we don't get such large bills, but we can stay on top of things. And if there's any other repairs, we can get them before they get to this level and this expense. But yeah, he explained it in it, because I'm not going to lie, I had no idea what a dry well looked like until he started explaining it. And then it all made sense. But almost every dry well in the city of Maywood Park, because we had them measured, is 21 feet deep. That's a lot of gunk.
Yeah, I think even like since I've been treasurer, which has been almost 4 years now, we've only cleaned them out twice. So this is something we should be doing every year. So it'll be reflected in the budget that's coming up for this new fiscal year. So thank you, Mayor, for further clarifying that. Any other comments or questions? All right. Do you see any others, Renee?
I have one more message from Susan Zoll. Is this the case along 102nd as well?
As far as one that needed to be repaired or flooding, or that we have them there? I wonder if she can. I would imagine we have some on 102nd on our side of the street. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, we do have some. There should be one at least one at every intersection. And then I know there's one up by my house on 102nd, kind of in the middle. And I don't think there's any more in the middle of the streets. Is there, Jim? Not that I can't picture any in my head, but that doesn't mean there are.
There shouldn't be any in the middle, but there should be on our side with manhole covers.
Okay.
So if they're within our city limits, then we are responsible for keeping them cleaned and functional.
Yes.
Okay, she adds going into sewer versus dry well.
So the question would be, are the drains or the dry wells on our side of 102 going into sewer, or are they going into dry wells?
Nothing's going into sewer yet. And anything in regards to the Portland Public Sewer, which I saw Kim had an answer, we don't know how any of that's going to work yet. That's a whole nother topic, which we will address hopefully within the next several months. Did I cover everything? Susan, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other thing or any other comments? Renee, do you see anything else from any of our participants?
I do not.
Okay, then we'll go ahead as a council. Then the next step would be to appropriate those funds, that 17,000, through a resolution. So included in your agenda packet for the councilors was resolution 289, which is the resolution adopting the supplemental budget and the resolution for making the appropriations. This reflects what we just discussed in the storm drain reserve fund, moving that 17,000 out of the reserve for future expenditures and into the public work sewer system cost for the current budget year. The revised budget still remains at a total of 158,000. So after this change, the reserved amount for future storm drain repairs will be 111,000. And we spent 47,000 this year. So can I get a motion to approve Resolution 289 for the supplemental budget and the appropriation.
I move the motion.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I think that covers me for now, so I'll turn it back over to Renee for the next agenda item.
Thank you, Wendy.
So we can go to the presentation, or did you want to approve the minutes and the treasurer report prior to the presentation?
Let's go ahead and do their presentation and then we'll move on to council business, please.
Okay. I will promote the people so they can. Let's see. And Mercy, there she is. Okay. I think we have everyone requested now. So the coalition may unmute and make their presentation. I believe we have screen sharing enabled for you.
Thank you.
Would like to do that. So,
Thanks so much, Renee.
you're welcome.
We aren't going to be screen sharing. We're just going to be talking face to face. So my name is Ashley Brisea, and I am one member of the Maywood Park Citizen Coalition. Thanks for giving our group space to share tonight. We are blessed and honored to be able to present to you. So we are the Maywood Park Citizen Coalition, a group of neighbors who want to become more deeply engaged in our community. We recognize that we are just one group of neighbors who care for the city, and we hope to become a group recognized for our humility, service, insight, advocacy, and love in order to see people included and engaged. We know that the more people that are engaged for the gifts and wisdom that they bring to our community, the more invested they are, and the more we can learn from one another. We're not a large group, and we're still learning about the city, but we are dedicated and care about inclusion, honoring our diversity, and listening to one another to make life better. There's nothing quite like a vulnerable and collaborative community working for the good of one another that can encourage everyone to join the collective table. And we've seen this in our community in responses to neighborhood fires, car break-ins, cleanup days, and delivering one another hot meals when we're in need. We've seen Girl Scouts delivering cookies and wagons, families with dogs walking around, meeting neighbors, a socially distanced and masked Halloween costume parade with so many beautiful children and Miriam, and coffee and food carts hosted by the city and neighbors. Maywood is full of life and a desire to come together to connect, collaborate, and assist. Our group wants to be a catalyst and a jumping off point for neighbors to do that. And I know we have some crafters in our community. I've seen knitted shawls by my neighbor down the street, Andy. I've received crocheted baby hats from Kate Lamb and hand sewn masks from Faye Reynolds. And I've seen pictures of a gorgeous quilt that Sarah James recently showed off. So imagine with me that Maywood Park is a quilt. Each house or family is a square on this beautiful quilt, and we are all part of this rich, valuable, gorgeous, meticulously sewn creation made with expensive and unique blocks of fabric. Each square comes from a different place, and each has a deep story that comes with it, and all are put together with love and sacrifice into one unified fabric. This is how I see Maywood Park and how our coalition members see it. What's the thread that keeps us all together, and how do we maintain and strengthen this tapestry? Lisa.
Thanks. I'm Lisa Baldassar. Some older people may remember my dad, Vic, was a volunteer here. Anyway, continuing on, we're concerned there may be squares that are unraveling, quilt blocks that need attention, and there are some that are sitting on the edge waiting to be sewn in, which are truly beautiful and have so many stories and experiences to share. So how do we center and amplify these lived experiences? We have neighbors who go unnoticed and unknown, who haven't been invited to the table. It's not always because there's not the resources, but it could be that there just isn't a viable or visible access point and opportunities to engage, as well as a personal invitation. Our coalition started with a vision from 3 neighbors who wanted to know more about who they were in the community. We started asking questions about accountability, community transparency, and clarity. We wanted to be more knowledgeable about our city, and we know there are neighbors who want to engage but have not been listened to because we've met and talked to them personally. Scrolling in. We all love our city. But a review of a system is necessary for a healthy community. When we open ourselves up for collaboration and teamwork, what seems impossible becomes possible. We have amazing folks in this city, so our coalition is asking, how do we include them, highlight that, and inspire one another? You probably hear the word equity thrown around. Equity and equality are different words. Equality means everybody gets the same thing, but equity means that everyone gets what they need to be successful. So how do we partner to ensure Maywood Park is an equitable community? Equity is more people-centered and meets specific needs so our community can excel together. Some of our citizens can't make council meetings. So how are they accessing the information and finding ways to participate? How can we expand what we offer on our website so citizens can find what they want easily? Our survey respondents largely asked about the newsletter starting up again as a way to communicate. Not everybody is on Facebook, so how are people accessing basic information like Zoom meeting links or updates or access to Gateway Green? These are equitable engagement pieces that we can use to make good decisions. We can create inclusion and welcome by pivoting our perspective to care for those who have the least access. If those who have the least access are taken care of, then those who have access easily will continue to experience the same. And this is how we bring others along on a journey. We really want to partner and live in an innovative space with the city. We don't seek to overtake it, but to partner alongside of you. So one of the questions we asked at our meeting is, what does the city need from our coalition? Taking it over to Marcy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Marcy Marshall. So how can we contribute to the maintenance, evolution, and strengthening of Maywood Park's ethic of neighbors helping neighbors by expanding citizen participation and building a resource network to meet current and future needs? Not only in cases of emergency, but in our everyday self-governance. I noticed when I was in the last meeting where we had the Volante presentation that many of those pillars of psychological first aid that were discussed there, such as safety, calm, connection, and hope, they really also apply to creating an everyday community that values our psychological safety. Such a community encourages people to show up as they are with their unique experiences and ideas and have a trust that they will continue to belong here and feel supported. We all want Maywood Park to be a safe place to live for everyone now and in the future. So we're asking the council, how can we incorporate more citizen quilters into our local institutions and traditions? How can the coalition encourage open communication so that we can build up those things that we're doing well? We all benefit from shared ideas, and while it may seem like it's adding to the task burden, many hands make light work. When we are raising our hands tonight here, not only are we interested in bringing neighbors together socially, but we understand that changing things in systemic ways rolls out the red carpet for collaboration, vulnerability, and inclusion. So we have a couple of upcoming community projects that we're working on. One is an N95 mask distribution through a partnership that we have with TriMet's Equity Division. We're also planning to partner with Braylon Deal Erickson to reintroduce the New Neighbor Welcome Packet that's based on the great work that Gail Burrow originally did. We're planning on hosting a community book club to facilitate growth, and we hope to also host a movie and discussion night about historic Vanport. We would also love the opportunity to have a working session with the council to discuss survey results and related ideas around defining areas for us to work on together. Last but not least, we'll be putting contact information in the chat here tonight and invite everyone who's interested in reaching out with questions or to get more involved with the coalition. And with that, and any remaining time, would love to answer questions that people have. Thank you.
Okay.
See, is it,
We do have,
Patty.
yes, are you seeing those? Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think because I'm a panelist now. Hi, Patty. Yeah, I think we've heard. I actually haven't participated in a street party just because I have little ones and I haven't been able to make it out. But I've heard that those are really fantastic opportunities to connect. So I would assume once the pandemic or the quarantine has lifted, that we could do some of those things. I think dancing probably requires closeness. But we were talking about having smaller block parties, so it wouldn't be the whole community coming out. At least I talked about hosting it on my block, and I'm sure Marcy would be willing to host a few neighbors at a time and in front yards and stuff. So thanks for throwing that. I'll add that to our list.
I have a question. Do you three or does the coalition plan to have a representative at every city council meeting from now on? Because I realize that a lot of people, you included, except for Marcy, who was on city council, don't come to meetings or haven't come to meetings. So I'm just trying to think, will you be staying present and to come?
Yeah, of course. We made sure someone was at the Volante. So Ed Johnson was there present, and he's going to be presenting some of that to the coalition so we can figure out what role the coalition is playing in that, so we can do some brainstorming. And our vision of this group is a lot like a think tank, where we kind of come together and we're curious and we ask questions and how can we be innovative and create community engagement through these pieces. So yeah, we're here. I mean, I'm not planning on leaving, and I think Lisa's fairly new to the community. Marcy's been here for quite a while. Of course, we are moving into the space with humility, and we're here to learn. And I know you're fairly new, and so we can learn together. Really encouraged that we actually have 7 people in the coalition, so we're a small piece of it. Marcy or Lisa, do you guys want to add anything to that?
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
I actually have a question that I've heard come from many residents. How do they join your coalition? You've had meetings, obviously, but residents are like, well, how do we know when their meetings are? I'm like, I just say they have to come talk to either you or Marcy. Lisa, I didn't know you were a part of it. So I just kind of directed them your way. But that's something maybe you want to get out there, because I know people feel like you're not including the city, just those you want to include. So maybe that's something you could get out there, or get some more information out as to when you're going to have your meetings, where it's at, or who they need to contact to participate. Yeah. I think that would be very beneficial to you guys anyway.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, do you want to speak in, Lisa?
Oh, absolutely. I only just joined, so that's why I was unknown. And it's we're in baby step mode, I think.
Yeah, we've had people email, or what we originally did was the survey results is we emailed the folks who've completed the survey, and we have an email set up. So we've only had one meeting at all, and it was 2 weeks ago, and it was just with the people who were initially interested. And we feel we're trying to visioneer, like, what is our group? And we've talked about being this flexible group that is able to pivot easily. So it's not like we have one purpose. We are talking about what is the neighbor to neighbor connection being made, and what is the neighbor to city, because we think both of those are really important to a holistic and healthy community. And so we're absolutely here tonight as well to invite folks. So feel free to email. I post often on the Facebook page as much as I can. I posted an invitation tonight for people to join if they were asking questions. And then we were gonna post exactly what we have presented tonight, our Google Doc, on the Facebook page tomorrow. So anyone is free to read the words that we are saying tonight. So we are super want to be invitational. And we don't want people who just think the same way as we do. We want to invite diversity of opinions, diversity of thought, so that we can see things from every angle. There's wealth in that.
Question?
Okay, we are out of time, unfortunately.
question. My hand was raised.
Okay, Councilor Weisner.
Yes. Listening to the presentation tonight, I like to do two things. One is to make a motion that the council come back and answer the questions of what we can do as a council to engage. Discussion on that is, again, I see where that we as Hearing O Coalition are hearing from how many years have people lived in this community from Maywood Park, a total of this coalition. I've been 15 years in there. My wife is part of the coalition. So it's consistent of how many years of the residents with the coalition to Ashley, Marcy, or Lisa? How many years have you lived here?
Oh, each of us?
Yes.
Oh, I have been here 16 years.
I'm just a year, although my parents moved here in 1998. My dad passed in 2007, my mom in 2017, and so we moved in last year, actually 2019, into their house.
And I think we just hit 6 years in December.
So we have a number of years, it sounds like, of residents that are here and there. So I asked that question again, or put that motion on the floor, actually.
Okay, Councilor Weisner, this is not a time to bring that. That was not on our agenda. What was on the agenda was a 10-minute presentation by the Citizens Coalition, and their 10 minutes is up, so we are no longer in discussion with this. So we need to move on to council business.
Madam Mayor, parliamentary procedures, I believe, can be brought to a motion. And in that motion, I'm saying that there are questions that the coalition have asked. And we as a council, I would like to motion that we come back and have answers to that. There's a motion on the floor.
Right. Can we get a second for that?
Discussion?
What is?
Does anyone have a discussion? Councilor Weisner would like us to discuss this more and answer more of their questions.
Right now?
That's what he would like to do.
A discussion, I believe, is that.
He would like to have a discussion and then a motion.
Yeah, the discussion, I believe, of going along the procedures of Parliament is the first order of what we're talking about.
Okay, we would like to have a discussion. Anyone?
Yes, my point of discussion is that the coalition, I think, is the second time that they have brought a proposal or a presentation to the council. The first presentation was a survey that we looked at. And in that survey, we heard a small group of residents that was speaking, and I see it again in the questions tonight, where that the residents were wanting to be involved. And there is a missing piece of how the council engaged in, whether it's internet or other communications that our citizens are not able to access in the council. So this is a request I'm hearing from the citizens or residents. And as a council, I think we might like to engage in areas of this discussion. How do we involve those residents that are not participating? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Does anyone have anything else? Is there any further discussion?
By what just happened. I would like to say that I don't think this is the right time to talk about this, and maybe we should get together or we can answer that, but that wasn't on the agenda. And so we can maybe have it on the agenda another next meeting to discuss, to answer your question, and maybe a list of questions
So the motion's tabled.
Could we do a work session?
We will discuss this at a later time. The motion is tabled. Thank you, ladies, very much for making your presentation tonight. And I'm sure we will have a list of questions for you because we have a lot of questions coming in for residents. But now that you've put your email address up, it'll allow us to email and let us know where to send people when they ask.
Thank you.
Thanks. We appreciate your time.
Okay, can we go ahead and moving forward? Can the council go ahead and look in your agenda packets? And so we can, does anybody have any changes or corrections to the previous minutes?
I have none.
Counselor Reynolds?
I have none.
Counselor Berman? Did you have any changes, Miriam? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I said I have none. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. Counselor Weisner, do you have any changes?
No changes.
All right. May I get a motion to approve the minutes for February 1st, 2021 council meeting?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approval of the minutes has passed. Wendy, would you like to give the treasurer's report?
Yeah, so included in your agenda packet is the treasurer's report for the month of ending January 31st, 2021. So the first page is the listing of the assets, liabilities, and fund balance on our cash basis accounting. Total assets, which were all cash, totaled $487,794.67. And then on the following page is our budget to actual report. So the actual column includes amount spent from July through January. So that's the 7 months ending in January. And then the budget column is the actual for the full, our actual budget, approved budget for the full year. So then you can see the over under column on the far right. And then the last 4 pages are the changes that have occurred in each of the checking savings accounts, the ins and outs, the deposits, as well as the expenditures for the month of January. So if you take a moment to review that, I will take any questions that the council has on the treasurer's report for January.
Wendy, what was the deposit from ODOT for? Was that the?
So that deposit is what you're referring to on page 9 of the report, the street fund, in the street fund on
Back on the
125.
25th? Yeah.
On the very bottom of the page. Yeah,
Yeah.
so $4,933.95. That's the allocation of the street state tax that the city gets. And that's a monthly amount that comes in from ODOT every month. And that's pretty much what funds most of the street fund expenditures.
Does that ever go up and down, or does it always stay that?
It's usually around that amount. it's a percentage that gets allocated to our city, but it's been pretty consistent.
Okay.
If I look on what we received so far, if you look on the page here, on page, if you go to the fiscal year to date actual versus annual budget, and you go down to about the middle of the page, it says account 2-440 State Street Tax ODOT.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So we've received 29,769 for the 7 months. Yeah, so it's about, the average is 4,200.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, that's about consistent. It goes up and down a little bit every month, but overall it's around that amount.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Is there any other questions? All right, if there's no further questions from the council, then can I get a motion to approve the January treasurer's report with a total cash assets of $487,794 and $487,794.67. I got my decimal point right there.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved.
Great, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay. Moving on to our unfinished business and some updates. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is the multi-use path lighting. Yes, I'm fully aware there are still lights out. ODOT is working on those. I contacted him last week and I said, hey, you gave us a date. You received faulty parts. They were returned, but we need to realize that the weather was coast to coast, and so that delayed them. And while I told him I totally understood that and could appreciate that, we still have some outages. And could he put something in to replace it so we could have some light? And Duke is working on that. He's the gentleman from ODOT. So he is working on that to get some type of lighting in there. But like I said, we're fully aware that the lights are out, but the ones that are in are looking very nice. CERT, we are working on it. So what I would like, and I know I've spoke with a number of people over time about this, if you are interested in participating in Maywood Park CERT program, please email all of your contact information, your name, your email address, your phone number, the best time to be reached, and either email it to myself or to the office, and Renee can forward it to me. And as Wendy mentioned, when you all received these by the council. So if you recall, those of you who've lived here for quite a while, or at least in the last couple of years, you received this in the mail. I have a serious issue with paying $300 or $400 to mail a sheet of paper when we have 5 council members who can divide up the streets and walk around and distribute these. So you won't always see the same council member because they don't know it, but we're switching up streets. So you will be seeing this at least once, maybe twice more, Wendy, a budget twice. So
Yeah, twice, and that's a requirement under Oregon budget law, is that every resident needs to have that notice, public notice, so they can participate in our city's discussion of the budget. So we'll have our budget committee in April, and we'll send out a notice. And then our budget hearing, which is in June. So 2 more.
So you'll be seeing the council distribute these, like Wendy said, at least 2 more times. And it's to each address, not to each resident. So if there's 5 people in your house, don't expect to get 5. Each address will get a notification. A couple other things that we are working on in regards to CERT. One other thing that Miriam, Councilman Berman.
I'm just worried there's somebody who may be new and doesn't know what CERT means. So they don't know what they don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, the emergency response team. Sorry. Maywood Parks Emergency Response Team. So did that answer that question? So anyway, moving on, we are going to have parking packets. Now, I know we all have issues with Portland, the Gateway Green. My phone blew up over the weekend. I'm fully aware of it. What I need for everyone to understand is there is a process and a procedure that we have to follow. It's not like, oh, okay, we just don't want to do it or we don't have time, so we're not doing it. That is not the case. We are working with Parks and Rec. What I have done since Portland Parks and Rec have assured us that they will work with us, and I posted, or I had Renee post it on our website, and I believe Linda shared it on Friends of Maywood Park. So this is a copy of the signs that Parks and Rec is having made. I turned them into flyers. And the counselor, when they see parking that they can identify as a bicycle group, we've been putting these under their windshield or underneath their windshield wiper. And it states Portland Parks and Rec put it back on them because we've been assured that they weren't going to be bothering us. We've had issues, I'm sure that most of you noticed, on Friends of Maywood Park. Braylon unfortunately had a run-in with them several weeks ago. They not only disrespected him, but they disrespected our speed limits, our streets, and frankly, our residents in general, and that is unacceptable. So I let Victor at Portland Parks and Rec know that I understand he cannot do anything about people's behavior, but that we're not going to stand by and let this continue. So what we're going to do is we are working on parking packets, and I had hoped to have had them distributed by now, but in speaking with Lieutenant Jordan, he is going to work with Counselor Reynolds and myself on putting the parking packets together. And the parking packets will have your parking permits, it will have your parking passes, and it will have information in there. If there is something that is in regards to a Maywood Park ordinance, it will have that ordinance in there, or at least part of the ordinance, and where you can go to find the remainder. If it's something that's in regards to a state code, such as your 50 feet parking by a stop sign or something like that, it will have that in there and where you can go to find that. And it will have further instructions in there. Now, we are also working with getting more permit parking signs put up. We are working on painting the curb, and then obviously, which we've already voted on and was decided last fall, we are working in reducing our speed limit to 20 miles an hour. So all of this takes time. They have one fabricator in the sign division, and he has to make signs for the whole county. It's not like we can just go to the cutest little fancy sign shop and order 50 no parking signs or 50, permit parking signs. It doesn't work that way. We have to wait our place in line. So we are working on it. Just give us a little time and please be patient. I know it's frustrating. I live at the entrance and I've been, losing my temper since we put up the, road closed sign. Ask Miriam. We could be rich if we started charging every time they cost that, because that's a potential $115 fine every time they go through a road closed sign. That came from Lieutenant Jordan. So anyway, we will be working on those, and I hope to have them out to you by April 1st. I can't promise that because we are working with Lieutenant Jordan and we need to work around his time frame. In addition to the council passing those out, and along with the additional budget hearing notices, we are also going to start having a on-call council person beginning March 12th. And it will be from 6 p.m. on Friday night to 6 p.m. on Sunday night. We will let people know what the number is. It's for an emergency, and we're all going to rotate. So if there's an emergency and you need to call 911, obviously call 911. Don't call us because we're just going to turn around and call 911. So, and it's not for you to call and discuss city business and you're really irritated about this and you want to talk about. No, this is a strictly, you have an on-call city council member from 6 p.m. Friday night to 6 p.m. on Sunday night. If something's going on in the city, you should be able to get a hold of someone somewhere. Also, while we were out putting out the budget notifications, it was brought to my attention by several council members, you know, some that were handed out on Sunday. There were packages and mail hanging out of mail slots, and your packages are seen there. And then you see on Facebook or Nextdoor, hey, my mail was stolen, my packages were stolen. If you do not collect your mail or your packages, or you're not going to be home, ask your neighbor. Don't leave it out overnight. You're inviting theft. And if you want to complain about it and you want to stop it, help us do something to, you know, discourage them. Don't leave an invitation. Leave your porch lights on. Collect your mail, collect your packages. If you can't do it, please ask your neighbor or have your mail held, something like that. The next thing I wanted to give people an update on 102nd, and trust me, unless you live on 102nd, nobody is more irritated by it than I am at the present time. So I actually asked Chuck, who is the on-site manager or the project manager for their contractor, PBOT's contractor, I said, Monday, could you give me an update? Well, he sent me the update last week, and he said they are running into some elevation issues across the street, and he hopes to get that resolved. Of course, it rained, so now that it's nice out there, I noticed this afternoon they started working on it again. Shaver, I believe, is the next one that they're going to be tearing out. And he really hopes to get to the east side of Fremont within the next week. And by the looks of it, because then he said it just needs to stay warm enough to pave it back and open up that corner. Now I know that on the east side is not Maywood Park and far from covering from Maywood Place to Prescott or wherever they decide they're going to end. But that was all the information that he had for me. So it looks like we're going to be in this little pattern for a while. My apologies. If everybody remembers when we signed the IGA 2 years ago, I voted no. So, and I would still vote no if you brought it up. Not that it wasn't well written. Mayor Castor and Council Williams did a great job in writing it, but I would still vote no. And my driveway is why. So anyway, I wanted to give you an update on that. One other thing, and I don't know the name of the person who started it, and my apologies, I should have done a little more investigating. But a resident had reached out to, it's called Autumn Coffee Roasting, and they said, hey, come to Maywood. So on Sunday, March 4th, and Sunday, March 14th, and Renee will post these on the website if she hasn't already done it. She'll get them on there in the next day or so. From 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Autumn Coffee Roasting will be at 99th and Failing right there in front of the Commons. So, and then I think Renee, they also submitted their menu. So Renee's going to put that up there for us. And having said that, and since we brought the Commons up, and I stated this once before, that the Commons will open once either the state of emergency is lifted or Park Rose School District opens up completely for in-school learning. So whichever one of those happens first, then the Commons will open. And as of right now, I was under the impression the governor had already extended the state of emergency until July. Nope. As of right now, I believe it's May 2nd or 3rd. Keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get to have a 4th of July celebration this year. That's only providing she does not extend it past the 5th of July. So let me see. I think that may be all I have on my current list.
Excuse me, Mayor Montrose. We've had some questions come through.
Okay. Oh, I see it. I'm trying to, I can't see where they exactly start.
There's one from Kate Lamb at 7:45, which would be the earliest question.
Is that the first one? Okay.
Yeah.
Used to have volunteers distribute materials. Susie and I did share and say something like that. Going again, if people volunteer, perhaps a coalition. That's something that we can definitely take. Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading it to myself. I apologize. I should have been reading it to everybody. Kate Lamb said that they used to have volunteers on each block to distribute materials, that she and Susie did it on Shaver, and they can certainly get something like that going again. If people volunteer, perhaps the coalition can be part of helping with that. And we can certainly look into it. Right now, I'm not gonna lie. I really want our council members to get out and walk the streets and learn the streets. So, but I'm not saying no to you, Kate, because trust me, by the time I got to the end of, I believe it was Mason, yeah, I was thinking about, gosh, I should have taken Patty up on her offer when I just started Mason. So, you know, I'm totally with you on that one. So let's see. And Patty wanted to know, what does the flyer say? So this is a copy of the sign that Portland Parks and Rec is having made, and it says Gateway Green. Help us be a good neighbor. Please don't park in Maywood Park. Stay on path when outside the park and leave no trace. And then down at the bottom, it's the Portland Parks and Recreation information, and their phone number and website is down in the corner of it. I have no idea when they're going to get, where the signs are definitely going to go. I was told, actually, when Victor responded after he met with everybody, that he wants to get together after the signs come in and talk about placement of them. And I haven't heard anything back from him. That's something that we need to talk to Counselor Akers and Counselor Berman about, if either of them have heard anything from Victor or anything else from Gateway Green, because now everybody's quiet. So I can't give you any further details on that, but that is what the flyer says. Let me see. Kate, unfortunately, sometimes Amazon delivers up till 9 p.m. and they don't always notify you. I'm guilty. I've had that happen. If we know that we're expecting a package just every once in a while, please check. I don't want anybody's Amazon packages to get stolen. Nathan may wish sometimes my Amazon packages would get stolen, but that's not the point. So I can't, I totally agree with you, Kate, that we can't always help it, but just try to be a little more vigilant so we can keep that element out of here, or do our best. We're not going to prevent it all the time, but we can at least try. Ashley, please let us know how the coalition can help make the CERT training more known in the community. We are here to help with that and feel it's important for the safety of our whole community. We certainly will, Ashley. When we start working on that, we will definitely let you know. And again, when it comes to CERT and wanting to participate, get your contact information either to Renee or to myself, or to the office or myself. Renee will get it to me. We're putting it all together because we're going to start from scratch. It doesn't matter how much training we have. This one has this one has that. If we do not know how to use it, when to use it, in the correct order to use it, it's going to be worthless. So we're going to have a diagram and we're going to follow it. And we're working with professionals to help us do that. Patty, the flyer from Parks and Rec. Did I miss the first part of the question, Patty?
I think she was clarifying that that's the flyer she was asking about.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm trying to keep them in order. Have I answered everyone's question? Oh, I'm sorry. I read them and I forget I need to read them to everyone. My apologies. I will get better at this Zoom thing. You'd think after a year I would have it down to an art. Kim, silly comment. We're assuming that all of those other folks actually know that this is Maywood Park. There's only one sign at the Fremont entrance. Anyone just looking at a map does not necessarily see Maywood Park, but then the sign is obvious enough that anyone should be able to figure it out. Yes and no, but when you come in at Fremont onto Maywood Place and you have the large sign, not to mention you have permit parking signs. What, Miriam, is there 3 on your block? 4 on your block? Right, something like that. And then if you enter from the other end, I think there's a sign also down there somewhere. Doesn't it say something about entering Maywood Park? Or did they not get that in yet? I think that's something we were working on. Counselor Reynolds, do you remember? Did we ever get a sign put in down there, or did they just tell us they would and that was it? They shut us up.
Yeah, I just don't think the signs are installed yet.
Okay. We're working on it, and we are also working on replacing the large Maywood Park sign that we had Valley View come in and clean up, and we're going to get a new one and have that. So when they come down 102nd, they're going to know they're entering Maywood Park. Do we have any more that I am missing?
Just my hand up.
Renee, are you seeing anything?
Counselor Weisner does have his hand raised.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mayor, I want to thank you, Renee. Could you clarify? I heard Kim, I think it was, saying that the citizens used to participate, and you were saying you would prefer just the council. I'm lost with that thought because I'm looking at our ordinance, and it sounds like you were saying that you disregard it and rather just do the council to do the distributing. To the council.
Right. Now, what I would like, I'm not saying no, we're never going to do that, but what I would like for a couple times is for our council to get out there and be seen. You and Miriam are rather new to the council, so I want the residents to know who our council is, and as we're walking around. So I'm not disregarding everybody, but for a couple of times, I want our council to get out, and our council can do a little work also. That's why we were elected, and that's what we're going to do. So
I agree, but I don't think that was the point of the question. If I heard the question, but then I'm not disagreeing where that I don't believe that we should engage. What I'm saying is I did not hear a specific to the answer of the citizens saying, I want to be involved, and we haven't given them other than what you were saying, the council is going to do that.
I guess I'm totally lost at what you're even asking, because when she asked about the citizens that they used to do that, I said I don't have a problem with that, but for a couple times I want our council to get out and be seen, and then by all means, absolutely, the residents can help and join in if there's stuff to hand out. I have no problem with that.
Okay, that's what I didn't hear there.
So I guess because I said I didn't have a problem with that, and I was wishing I had taken Patty up on her offer at the start of Mason instead of by the time I got to the end of Mason. So I'm all for letting the residents help by all means. But there are some times that I think our council was elected by the residents of Maywood Park They need to see us out there doing something, not just for an hour to an hour and a half every other Monday night. And they're not seeing that.
Well, I was
Because
just
I'm not seeing that.
I was looking at our ordinance, and from what I'm seeing under duties of how that works for what we as councils are elected, my thought, hearing from the previous council and when I had attended, is that from Mayor Castro, is that there was a hard time to get participation.
I understand that. This is a new council. I'm Mayor Montross, and this is the way we're proceeding. Councilor Reynolds, this discussion, Councilor Wisner, you and I will discuss this later because I've answered the question.
Point of order.
This discussion's over. Thank you.
Point of order.
This discussion is over. Councilor Reynolds.
I still have the floor. Point of order. This is a parliament. This is not this is parliament.
I have answered your question, Councilor Wisner. I have no problem with the residents assisting.
No,
not at all. But I want our council to be seen by the people who elected us. Why do you not understand that?
I'm referring to our parliaments now. And I'm referring to the ordinance. And what I'm having a hard time with right now, it sounds like, again, me being antagonizing in this point of question. And I think if I understand the parliament's very clear, Mayor, you should be able to hear me when I'm talking.
I do hear you, and I did answer you, and I've asked to move on. You're not being antagonizing. I've answered the question several times. And I answered it when Kate Lamb brought it up, and I agreed with her.
Right.
There's no part of being antagonizing. I've asked to move on. I've answered it several times.
I'm only following parliament procedures.
Okay, can we please move on?
Yes, I'm standing off the floor. I take.
Thank you. Councilor Reynolds, could you please, what do you have to share and report with us?
I don't have anything to report at this time.
Who do we have next? Councilor Berman. Miriam, you're muted.
I emailed Victor and I haven't heard back from him. And I also asked that maybe they could say where an alternative on their website, an alternative place to park was, or have flyers, if they could make the flyers and have where the alternative place to park would be in response to what whoever it was, I'm sorry, I can't remember, said, how do people know it's Maywood Park? So just
yeah, I believe. Councilor Berman, can I ask you a quick question? Not to catch you off guard or anything. Did you go, because if I recall in Victor's email response to me, like the original one before you and Councilor Akers came on board to work on that, he did, to me, it appeared that they did post something on their website. Did you ever get a chance to check on that?
I'm trying to remember. I did see that he wrote that, and I thought I looked, and I don't think what I saw was all that. No, he said he was going to, and I never
Okay.
looked. He said he was going to change what was on the website. It was something to Maywood Park Friends on Facebook or something. He said.
And because my response kind of to that was, okay, but these people already have prime parking spot in their minds along Maywood Place and Maywood Park. So why are they going to go back and look at your website? So by turning their signs into flyers, that's my hope that they'll go back and look at their website. Well, gosh, you're telling us we can't park here. So that was kind of my thinking behind that. So, but thank you.
I also thought that Portland Parks and Rec should make do not park on Maywood Place and have an alternative place to go park. which is the transit center, I think, that they think that's the one that is supposed to be the best access point.
I believe you're correct. I can't swear to it because I just can't remember off the top of my head, but it seems to me it was something like that.
Transit center or down by Halsey, the mall.
It was, yeah, and I know that people get real upset because there is a high crime rate. I understand that. But again, from what I've seen and what people have said, you know, they're kind of burning their bridge here too. And we don't want to bring crime in to our city. What we have is bad enough. We don't want to invite, you know, more in. Kate Lamb has, and this time I will read it out loud, and Councilor Berman, I think this is either going to be to you or to Councilor Akers. She said the reality is that the budget flyer needs to get delivered, and I would welcome my council members around the city. This gives us the time to represent for each. I'm ad-libbing. All I saw was REP, Kate, for each street to deliver info when needed. Patty, the site directs people to Gateway Transit Center. It doesn't say no parking in Maywood Park. Okay, thank you, Patty. I don't know what their site says because I haven't been back to it recently. I just know what the sign says that I turned into a flyer, because I'm pretty sure they didn't intend for this sign to be turned into a flyer, but when I saw what was happening, I just kind of took it upon myself to do so. So thank you. Councilor Akers, you're up.
So my task was to reach out to Jean Harrison, and I did. And I was able to kind of jog her memory on some of the history, and she remembered it. She sent me a 2-page thing that I forwarded to the city and to the city council. And I also have not heard from anybody from this Gateway Green at all. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Akers. And I several meetings ago, when Councilor Akers and Councilor Berman took this on, Jean Harrison was the resident liaison. It was her, Mark Hardy, and I can't recall if there was a third or fourth person. Was there, Jim?
Yes, that was Dave
Snodgrass, yes.
Dave Snodgrass.
Correct. And Dave Snodgrass was the council president at the time, and obviously, you know, Mayor Mark Hardy. So that's why I had asked Jim, you know, Dave and Mark have both moved on. But that's why I asked Councilor Akers, to reach out to Jean to see what information she could remember. And it's pretty much everything that we have all known, and all of the emails that Renee was able to dig up from Mayor Hardy or Council President Snodgrass. All that communication reflects everything is the same thing, and they're the same 3 issues that we're having right now: traffic, speed, crime, parking. I guess that's 4 issues, but nothing's changed. So basically everything that they assured the city and the residents of Maywood Park not to worry about, they would take care of, has now become very forthcoming. And that's what's happening because they've, you know, done more work down there. I thought at one time there were to never be bathrooms or anything like that down there, nothing to make it comfortable and people to want to hang out. That doesn't appear to be the case any longer, at least from what I could see from 205. I have yet to actually go all the way down there. So I know, Councilor Berman, you've been down.
Yeah, there's a porta potty that is open, and there's a loo that is not open yet. So that'll probably open up in the spring. So yeah, people, I mean, there's a lot of little kids going down there, and so they're going to need a potty, you know?
Yeah. So hopefully we can cut it off before April, May, June. I know this is March. We have, April's in a month. We're doing our best, but we have to work with other people. Trust me, if Wendy says we had the money, which she's pretty good at, she's not hiding our money. I asked her. So, but if we need something somewhere, she can help us find it. But we do need to work with Portland Parks and Rec and Gateway Green on this. So that was something that was started long before, well, I was gonna say long before any of us were on the council, but Jim, you were. So anyway, that's kind of where that stands. So thank you very much. Moving on, Councilor Wisner. I'm sorry, Councilor Akers, were you done? Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off. Councilor Wisner.
Nothing to report. My question would probably go back to Mike. I think we're supposed to have a second or follow-up meeting. I know things got kind of crazy during the winter. Did I say winter or should I say storm? However, we should be, I think, with time allowing, to get back together to meet with those two groups. But
I think he's frozen, Councilor Wisner. Councilor Reynolds, are you frozen? Were you able to hear Councilor Wisner?
It's no more than a statement also, Madam Mayor.
I think he's having some audio issues. Councilor Reynolds, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, Councilor Wisner wanted to know if you and he could get together and meet with those two groups that the two of you had discussed previously.
Let me reinstate that.
He can word it much more eloquent than I can. Go ahead.
And you're doing great, Mayor. Please believe me, you're doing good. What I was just saying, Mike, Council President, is that we were going to get back together and sit down and do an action plan and then get back with those groups from the action plan. And I was reporting that we had not met yet, and I was just looking to see if you had set a time aside sometime near coming up.
Well, I was waiting to see if I could hear back from the HOPE committee to see what kind of input they would like us to provide them as they develop and expand the HOPE team. I can follow up to see. I just didn't want to, be too aggressive with them. So I'll find out, but that's kind of where I was. I reached out to them and asked them for their input so that you and I could look at it from a supportive attitude with the development of the HOPE team.
Excellent. That's it, Mayor, Madam. My report update.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Wisner. We have Patty. I can't tell if this is just popped back up or was there, Renee, I can't see when hands are raised, but I can see when chats come up. So I'm not sure. I have Patty's comment about it directs people to the Gateway Transit Center. It doesn't say no parking in Maywood. Oh, the HOPE team. Councilor Wisner or Councilor Reynolds, do one of you want to respond to Patty on what the HOPE team is?
Sure. The HOPE team is a program within the Sheriff's Department. It's a group of deputies. They are in the process of kind of restructuring it, and they respond to situations that aren't necessarily criminal, but people that may be in need, transitory people, that type of thing. And it's an outreach that the sheriff's developing to help support communities like ours in finding alternatives for people that need help in different areas.
Thank you. One thing that I kind of want to add to that in regards to the HOPE team, and this is something, if you recall and joined us previously, I know that it started at least 2 years ago. I can't remember the exact date, but then Council President Winslow brought up that there was a lawsuit that had gone in front of the Ninth Circuit Court, and it was the state of Boise versus, I believe, Martin or something like that. Please do not quote me on the names. I just know it was the city of Boise. And what it is a person who was in need of assistance, homeless shelter and things like that, took the city of Boise to court. And that person won. They took it all the way to the Ninth Circuit Court, and the Ninth Circuit Court says, no, you have to be able to help this person. You can't kick them out. You cannot say they cannot camp here, they cannot stay here, unless you can provide them with assistance. Whether you can give them housing or temporary shelter, food, bedding, you have to be able to offer them resources. Now, this was brought up at the League of Oregon Cities convention that I attended last fall when I should have been in Pendleton. I was sitting at my dining room table, and I attended that session. And I said, what's going on? Because then another case came up, and it was a city in the state of Oregon. So when we broke into small groups, I said, well, okay, here's my situation, because now it became interactive. And I spoke with an attorney who actually happened to be in Portland. And I said, here's our situation. We're a residential community. Unless you go across the street, and then we can call the Hope team, what do we do? And he said, that is a very good question. And I'm pretty sure when the time comes, you will be in court and in front of the Ninth Circuit Court, and you will probably be getting the same answers. So, like I said, this is something that Council President Winslow brought to our attention 2 years ago, and it's ongoing. Unfortunately, right now, the only thing we can do, because we don't have resources, is to call the Hope team. And hopefully they will come in and help us, because I don't see, as a city, being able to offer those types of resources. We don't have housing available. We could probably help somebody with a meal or a tent or clothing or something to that effect. But as far as sending them to a shelter, we don't have that to offer. So just kind of as a heads up, don't be shocked if one day this comes across to everybody. So, and it's still playing out in the courts, but the Ninth Circuit Court is where we belong on this side of the country. And yeah, that's kind of where things stand as far as that goes. So just wanted to fill people in. If you hadn't heard of that, now you're aware of it. So, Renee, it looks like you're up. Do you have anything to share with us this evening?
You're muted.
You're muted, Renee.
Sometimes you have to do it several times. There we go. I managed to get HPRM, which is our new records management software, installed on my computer and Wendy's computer. And I received an email today asking when we can get together, and it's, I'm sure, on Zoom, with their person for us to start setting things up. So we'll set up our users and our passwords and some preliminary setup on that. So things are starting to move forward. It's encouraging, because it's kind of been a long haul getting to this point. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, Counselor Weisner, for sharing that. He put up a link for more information on the Hope team in the chat room. So if you want to take a few minutes and go in and get that link written down, because once the Zoom meeting ends, the chat disappears. So the Zoom meetings, Kate Lamb asked, is it possible to record Zoom meetings so others can see them later? The answer is yes, and actually our meetings are already being recorded and they are stored for a year. Just a second, Ashley, and I'll get right back to you on that one. And Renee and I have talked, we are working on creating a new website, because the website that we currently have will not support being able to post the Zoom meeting to it. So once we get a new website up and running, then we will have it posted. And what will happen is, like tonight we approved the minutes for February's meeting. So now Tuesday or Wednesday, then that meeting, once the minutes are approved, that meeting will be posted and you will be able to go on and view it. So you're always going to be a meeting behind, but you will be able to see it. Just right now, like I said, this is something Renee and I have actually been talking about for the past 6 or 8 months. And she has tried, but there's something with, Renee, was it security issues or something to do with the web host that we currently have? So we are working on that so everyone can see that. I hope that answered that question, Kate. Ashley asked, she said she cannot see the link for the Hope meetings. Can we post that on Facebook? Yeah, Renee, can we go ahead and put it on our website, and then Linda will do her little magic and share it on Friends of Maywood Park? Okay. Renee said yes to all of that. She's muted, but she's nodding. So yes. Is that okay, Ashley? Yep, you're welcome. Okay. And Wendy, did you have anything else?
No, I did not have anything else tonight.
Okay, moving on. Do we have any non-agenda items or additional citizens' comments that we've missed along the way? Any new business to bring up?
I see one hand raised.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see those, Renee. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. It's Ron Dixon. You have the floor, Ron.
Unmute, Ron. Thank you.
So I have a better update for Gateway Greens. So there was a right-of-way issued permit issued from the railroad had to have a right-of-way permit issued from the city of Portland. And they're working on a new road, and they're setting pins, which is ODOT, PDOT, that underneath the Halsey overpass. So they're putting pins in right now. It's going to be a while before they cut the new road in and it's completed. And then they had to get another right-of-way permit for a private property that parallels at the bottom of the hill of Halsey Street to put the new road in. And there's only one access from the bike trail that goes down from Gateway down to the west end of the park right now. So there's no road that nobody can get on the west end. And that's why we're getting an influx of everybody from Maywood Park, because there's literally no, unless you go to Gateway and take the long way in, they're taking Maywood Park the easy way in. And then also night patrol. I know I haven't seen Jim Akers out lately, but my cameras faced the street, and we had a couple cars that were randomly coming in the same time frame, like every night within an hour and a half. So I caught up with, so finally it was like 6 times they were coming through, and I finally caught up with them. And they got arrested outside of Maywood Park. They were stealing, they had a bunch of stolen product in their cars, but that was outside of Maywood Park at night. And then for asset base, you know, Mike Reynolds for construction, people are interested, you know, he's a helpful, has a lot of knowledge too, because I help a lot of neighbors out. And then they're talking about the group during the day, the Maywood Park volunteer. Well, I've been going out every night except for 3 nights. I have a log for the past 2.5 months, and I've never seen anybody doing night patrol of Maywood Park. And I keep a log of cars that I see are coming in, the hours I go out, and I haven't seen anybody. And usually Jim Akers does a pretty good job about patrolling too, but I haven't seen him out lately. That's all I got to say. But the green space, you know, it's under construction. That's why we're getting a heavy influx from the one end on the west, on the north end into Maywood Park, because it's totally tore up on the west end. They haven't got the access road cut in yet. And it's going to be a while. They had to get permission from, you know, PDOT and railroad and set pins, they're in the process of doing pins right now underneath the overpass. So there's your update on Greenway space.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I actually was aware of that, but I was told not to share that information because it didn't come from Victor, and they didn't have the information from the railroad yet. So it's going to be quite some time yet before they get that actually done. So thank you, Ron. Is anything else?
That's it.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm sorry, I was on mute.